Konnichiwa. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the IUS School of Education podcast. With us today, we're going to be talking about the High Ability Gifted and Talented Graduate Licensing Program, and we have the director of the program, Dr. Donna Albrecht. Hello, Donna.
Hi.
Also, we have some other members of our team who are graduates of the program, if I'm not mistaken. Natalie Schmidt. Hello, Natalie.
Hello.
And Abby Coffman. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
Well, Donna, I'm going to throw the ball over to you, and let's get started talking about the High Ability Gifted and Talented Graduate Licensing Program here at IU Southeast.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. So the first thing I want to explain is that the way our program works at IU Southeast is that you can come into our licensure program as a teacher to add that additional license. It's a 4-course, 12 credit hour program, and it's pretty rapid fire. We have 2 classes per semester, so you can finish within 2 semesters. And we are currently looking at launching a second cohort per year. So that would give us a summer start finishing in fall and a spring start finishing in summer. So we have a lot in the works on that. You can also use this as a concentration towards a master's in education, master's of science in education, either elementary or secondary. The high ability gifted license is PK to 12. So you are eligible if you're elementary or secondary to be able to pursue this licensure area. I just want to also say that it is really a growing need. It's an area that's much misunderstood and much what I want to say. There can be controversy and misconceptions about high ability gifted and talented. For a lot of reasons, and one of those reasons is an area that we work on very diligently in our program, and I do through my work and research of underrepresented populations. So, I'm just going to put it out there that there has been the thought in the past that it's kind of an upper echelon, those who have, upward social and economic opportunity and mobility are going to be the ones identified in these programs and served. To some extent, that has traditionally been the case due to identification procedures and lack of opportunity and just awareness. So we're working on that. We're doing a lot of work on that through the IUS School of Education. My research is in high ability English learners in particular. But culturally and linguistically diverse students, and how we can see ways to identify them for their gifts and talents, and as Indiana calls it, high abilities. And the reason that we call it high abilities is because it's a little bit of a broader term than gifted and talented. And Indiana always has to be different, as we know. So I just said a lot of things that we can unpack, and there's a lot more to say, but I want to give some opportunity. It looked like maybe Troy had a question or a redirection, and our wonderful instructors, Natalie and Abby, definitely want to highlight them. And they're the ones that are in the field, practitioners out there doing this job. I'm the administrator who has done this job, but I rely on them and their expertise to go along with my own background in high ability and English learning and a lot of other areas in education. So I'm going to open up the floor. Troy, bounce it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Dr. Albrecht. Now, Abby, tell us a little bit about you and your position and how you got involved in the gifted and talented or high ability programs.
Absolutely. Well, first I'll offer a correction. I'm not a graduate of the IUS program in high ability. And that is because when I started working in high ability, it was in 2002. And so we were not fortunate enough to have a program at IUS at that time. And so I did my master's degree through Purdue University. And I think that is a critical piece of information in recognizing how lucky we are to have such a high quality program right here at IUS. And so while our program allows people from around the state, and we actually, have lots of students, I had students this year from Illinois, from Kentucky, because it's a virtual, a distance program, because they can do it online, we get a lot of people from outside of our area. But for those who are inside our area, you're talking to practitioners who are in the schools that you work in. and who are very familiar with the expectations, the local communities, and just the demographic around here. So I wish I was a graduate of the IUS program. It just wasn't available when I started in high ability, but I did start in high ability 20 years ago. And I taught in a self-contained program for 10 years and then decided to stay at home with my own children. And so I've been working out of the classroom as a high ability coordinator for several different school systems here in Southern Indiana at Silver Creek Schools and Clarksville Community Schools. And then I do professional development around the state of Indiana with different school systems and go in and help them set up their identification and methods and their service models. And so I've been able to see a lot that's going on around our state and then bring that back to our classes here at IUS. So I'm also raising for identified high ability kids. And so I am learning all kinds of things. I sometimes say our older one would definitely be qualified as an underachieving gifted student. There is no question. He is the definition from the books. And so my husband was, we were kind of pulling our hair out and saying, what are we going to do with this child? He's a junior in high school. What are we going to do with him? And I said, here's what I can tell you from all the coursework that we should do. But I don't know that that's succeeding. So here's also the mom perspective. So I'm really getting to not only live this professionally, but live it very personally. My kids range in age from 2nd grade to 11th grade. So anyway, I'm fully immersed in high ability all the time. And absolutely, my favorite thing to do is teach these courses, to interact with the instructors and work with teachers to implement really practical solutions to the things that arise in working with high ability kids.
Abby, thank you so much for being here. I'm first of all, 4 children, no gray hair. You're amazing. I don't know how you do that.
Thank you.
I did want to throw one question out before we go on and introduce Natalie, is that I've seen in my experience as an educator that diverse students have a harder time because I think they don't have some of the same looking instructors. For example, we in the district I was in, well, I'm sure we missed a lot of Hispanic gifted and talented higher ability students because we didn't know how to identify them or weren't able to bridge that language barrier. Have you found that to be true? Is that improving, you guys? Just pitch in. I mean, if anybody has anything you want to add to that, say.
Well, I definitely think our resident expert in Southern Indiana is here on the call. So Dr. Albrecht can definitely speak to this. But in terms of being in the field and the courses that we offer at IUS, yes, this is a significant concern. One of the districts that I coordinate for is 22% English language learners, which is a significant portion. And so we partnered very quickly with Dr. Albrecht to figure out what can we do. And there were some very simple things we could implement. And then there are some bigger systemic changes that we've been working on for years. Of course, the pandemic slowed a lot of the progress we were making. So however, I will say a few things. One, in my work with Dr. Albrecht and in presenting on this topic, one of the things that constantly both surprises and concerns me is how many people don't recognize this as an actual issue. How many people, in choosing conference sessions, for example, how many people don't choose the high ability English language learner session because they don't believe that that's an issue in their school system. And what that tells me is that we have a lot of work to do to even help people understand that this is an issue, that there are high ability English language learners. Those are not 2 separate boxes to be checked, that those kids exist in one body, those characteristics exist in one body. And to that end, in W551, which is our introduction course to high ability licensure, that is a main topic. We have 3 primary underserved communities that we focus on in that class. And how do we address it in our identification methods? And then how do we look at our service model to make sure that we are not just identifying those kids, but that we recognize differences in serving them. And those 3 communities are English language learners, twice exceptional students, which would be students who have a high ability that may be masked by also a disability, and students who come from backgrounds of poverty, because all of those present unique challenges to us in identifying those kids, but also, just like you alluded to, in servicing those kids properly.
All right. Thank you, Abby, very much. And I can remember, and Natalie, I want to introduce you in just a second. Sorry, Natalie. Natalie needs to go. I just wanted to add during that conversation is that I can remember when I first started teaching back in 19, that the gift and talent teacher what they did was assign extra homework. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
That was what they did. And I think we've came a long way. We have a long way to go, but all right now I'd like to get Natalie Schmidt involved in the conversation. Natalie, tell us a little bit about you and your experience.
Hi, yes. So I am a public school teacher in Jefferson County Public Schools in Louisville, Kentucky, by day. And then I also serve as one of our adjuncts here for our gifted and talented high ability program at IUS. I am a graduate of the program, as you mentioned, and it was just a passion of mine that once I started teaching, I started realizing there was a population of students that just wasn't getting much from me and from my colleagues. And I felt like I knew that they needed something, but I didn't know how to do it or what to do. And that's when I stumbled across this program, and being 4 courses and
We're having a little bit of, Natalie, hold on just one second. We're having a little bit of audio difficulty there.
mostly online, it was very appealing to me. It was for me.
Awesome. Fantastic. Now, how long ago did you go through the program, Natalie?
Oh dear. Okay. I think I graduated in 2017. I think sounds about right, with my master's degree. And so then I spent a little time away and came back and worked on my rank 1 in reading. And during that time, I was also approached by Dr. Lisa Hoffman if I was interested in joining the adjunct community for the high ability program. And I was very, very excited to jump back in, because during my time in the program, I felt like I learned so much, and I kept running into colleagues in my district that just noticed the same things were missing but didn't know what to do.
Natalie, we're having a little bit of audio difficulty with Natalie there. She's coming in and out, but
I want to piggyback on what Natalie said,
So I was
because
very excited.
that's okay.
I think one of the strengths of our program is the differences that Natalie and I bring to the program. And I say this to the students all the time, because Natalie is in Kentucky and I'm in Indiana. Natalie's in the classroom and I'm in administration. Natalie is more recent and graduated from our program, and I've been doing this for a long time. And I think that there is just a lot to be said about the diversity of the perspectives that Natalie and I bring to the program. So I realize there's a whole lot that's the same about us, and we work together and toss ideas out, and we've worked together a lot to make a cohesive program so that the 4 courses really make a very, comprehensive licensure opportunity. But I think that having the 2 of us over the 4 courses enables the students to really get a whole lot of different understanding of what is happening in the field of gifted and talented here in our region.
And being a practical approach. You guys are in the field. You're out there doing it. It's not all ivory tower type of information. But Dr. Albrecht, now the program, again, as you said, is a 4-class program. Am I right there? Or am I stating that wrong?
Yeah, yes, it's 4 courses, and we split them up in semesters. So we'll have a summer 1 start. Roughly, that means you start in May and you go through June for course 1. You start towards the end of June and go through the beginning of August for course 2. Then you pick up with the second 2 courses, which have practicum components to them. And we call it fall 1. First 8 weeks, and then fall 2, second 8 weeks. And during that time, the students will cover all of this wonderful content the ladies have talked about, in addition to applying it in their own classrooms. So I'm going to pass it back over to Natalie to see if her sound's working better, to talk a little bit about those practicum experiences. What are the key sort of capstone applied projects?
Yes, so hopefully this is better. I have now switched to my 3rd connection, which is using the hotspot on my phone. So I guess we'll see how this one goes. So yes, there are 3 main components that the students or the candidates will complete over their time in the 2. It's almost 2 practicum courses because they are so fast paced. One being a field experience with high ability students at their school or in their classroom. And so we spend a lot of time looking at what their school does, or on the opposite, does not do for identification, and using the knowledge that they've learned from the courses with Abby and with myself to create identifying criterion for those selected students to complete a differentiated unit of their choice. So using the skills and standards and grade levels that they are already working with and embedding into what they're already teaching, because it's our goal that we're not really making additional work for them in this program as much as helping them modify what they do to better suit the needs of our gifted learners and our high ability students. So they make a unit that is intentionally differentiated for those students is one component. And then another component is working with parents. They host parent sessions for the parents of gifted and talented high ability students at their schools. Some of these have been in person after school. Some of them have been virtual. It just depends on what works for the families and the candidate. But this gives them some practical experience and interaction working with parents, because that's going to come with working with the students. And a lot of our candidates are a little intimidated in the beginning. They feel really confident teaching and talking in front of students, and then you put them in front of adults and they feel very uncomfortable. So this is helping them step out of that comfort zone and share their knowledge as a soon-to-be expert in the field of how parents can continue to support their students, whether it's supporting them in school or at home, or getting involved in things in the community that enhance their gifts and their talents. And then lastly, they do a collaboration and co-teaching experience with another colleague at their school. So the main criterion is that this is just not a person who already has a gifted and talented or high ability endorsement. And they will serve as a mentor to that person for a small lesson or a unit where they share some of their expertise. And we do this for two reasons. One, we've learned as the program has evolved that a lot of these candidates, once they complete the program, pursue coaching roles, instructional coaching roles, or high ability coordinating roles. And so we want to make sure that we help support them and get comfortable in that experience for leading other teachers, but also to spark some interest, hopefully, in some of their colleagues in what is high ability all about. Maybe I am interested in this, and maybe I also want to pursue this licensure at some point. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Natalie, very much. I mean, I think you nailed it, and I want to commend all three of you, really all four of us, myself included, dedicated to improving the lives of our students. And that's what really it's all about, building a better world, I think, in my opinion, anyway. So to finish up, Donna, if a student, if a teacher is interested, how do they get in touch with the program? How do they find out? And Natalie, Abby, jump in if you have anything you want to add too about how to get started in the program.
Sure. We're spreading the word now for a new cohort to start in the spring. So that would be the scenario where they would come in for spring, first 8-week course in spring, and then the second 8-week course, followed by their summer work, which would include the practicum. We are looking at that being more local in the sense that we are partnering with another organization called Camp Invention, and they will be partnering with us to host classes for local high ability students that our candidates will be teaching during a week-long summer camp. So in that way, we will have the audience of the students, the high ability students, for our candidates to teach, and at the same time have a captive audience in a sense of their parents, either before pickup or right after drop off, to where we can have those sessions with them. Because now Natalie knows that's a very difficult group to capture in a way, because parents have all sorts of different schedules, and just trying to pull that together in a district. Some districts honestly are either really don't have a fully developed high ability or gifted program, or are just beginning, are sort of fledgling with that. And so this will give our students that who are local or can come in for a week that truly hands-on dedicated experience. I know that doesn't mean that they won't have opportunities also in their schools. I think it really depends on the district as to what their needs are. Some districts might have the need to formulate their own special summer program, or as we go along in our development, I think there are a lot of possibilities and opportunities for, a district that wants to come on board and host their own practicum type of activities to really build their own programs, and to have a concentrated number of teachers going through together in a cohort model. I think that's powerful. I don't know that that's where we are currently, but I can see that as a possibility as we go down the road. So in order to find us and get involved, one, if this gets out there in time, Abby and I will be at the National Association for Gifted Children Conference in Indianapolis in November, and we will be presenting November 18th, 18th at 1:15 and at 1:15 and at 2:30, the two different presentations. One will be on our work identifying English learning populations who are still learning the language, and the other will be on a model of how to work with those students in the classroom in an inclusive setting. So once we've identified them, what do we do with them? So we will be there, happy to talk and pass out flyers. And also you can visit our website, the IUS website, go to our School of Education page, to our graduate studies, and seek the different licensure opportunities there, and you'll find us. You can email me, which I should have my email on there, but DALB as in boy, REC @iu.edu.
To explain why I think that people should consider this licensure, I've got a couple of reasons. For one thing, our program is very flexible. So when we talk about that local opportunity for the practicum, that should not dissuade anyone who is not local. Each year, each course that I have taught, and I do the foundations course, the intro course, we have students from all over the state of Indiana because our courses are all online. So if you are local, this is a new and wonderful opportunity, this practicum, that we think is going to be very beneficial to you. But it is not the only opportunity that will be offered as far as the practicum. And so I was explaining that I had done my own licensure through Purdue in 2002, and I obviously could not complete my practicum on campus as I'm hours away from there. And so we have a model for those students who are not here locally to be able to do all of these things. So the first 3 courses are online. And that practicum has some options. So I think what we're adding is interesting and going to be very good, but not our only option. The other thing that I would say is that if you're interested in pursuing gifted and talented, the state of Indiana our Department of Education offers some really good opportunities. I would say the licensure is the gold standard. Those courses that you can take, the boot camp and the things offered by our Department of Education, are very good. The licensure is comprehensive. You are going to come out, just as Natalie said, as an expert in the field of gifted and talented. We have worked very hard to make sure that we are addressing, there actually are standards for gifted and talented established by the National Association for Gifted Children. And so we have worked very hard to make sure that our program aligns with the standards that are nationally set for practitioners that work with gifted and talented children. So this is a high quality program. I also think it's really helpful to know that it's a graduate program, and we are both busy professionals with children. So we understand that you're undertaking a 500 level course and they're fast courses, but we also retain a whole lot of flexibility to meet the needs of our students and to work within the structure of what they are doing, the current classroom that they're in. So I like what Dr. Albrecht said about cohorts going through. Always in the foundations class, I always have cohorts come from different school systems. And especially now, schools are inundated, at least in the state of Indiana, with money because we got so much money from the COVID relief. And so the gifted and talented licensure is a highly sought after licensure. As a person who interviews candidates for jobs and is constantly looking, that is one of our top qualifications. If someone comes to us with a gifted and talented license, we want them. So right now, schools are paying because they need people and they need to keep their own people. They need to keep their teachers in their districts and make them qualified to work with this population of students. So now, if there are teachers thinking, I'd like to get my master's, I'd like to do more work with these students, I'd like to get into administrating the programs, this is a great time to do it. IUS's program is top notch. It's accessible for busy people from close and from far away, and it's also a possibility of working with your district right now to fund this opportunity. So I would say right now is the time to get involved in high ability.
All right, thank you, Abby. Natalie, anything to add before we close out?
I mean, I think they covered it all, but I just agree so much with what they both said, that this is the time to get in it now. Gifted and talented high ability all over the country is starting to finally get the attention that it deserves. And as Abby mentioned, we have a super flexible but rigorous program that will fully prepare all of our candidates to be the leaders in their schools and in their districts. And I think we offer a very competitive program with our flexibility, but also with our pacing. A lot of people don't want to wait a long time from start to finish. And I don't know of many other programs around the country that you can get it done in 2 semesters and still get quality instruction and experience.
Amazing. Yes.
Yes. So I highly encourage it.
And I have one last thing to say, and that's kind of addressing where I began with the thoughts of what this type of program is and who we're serving, and all of the things traditionally thought of. You pile on more work, all those kinds of things. You're speaking to a certain elite, population, and really what we are as educators is we are talent scouts, and a lot of students are being missed. Students, as you said, Tori, have their different abilities and talents, and all students can think at higher levels. We often are just not tooled in the way to meet those challenges, to challenge our students, to bring out the best in them, to figure out how to motivate those who are or have high abilities and gifts, but are unmotivated or bored by school, frankly. The remedial models that we're using with many children who are, students in poverty or students from underrepresented populations, we're using remedial programs that are just boring, the heck out of them and not motivating them and not moving them forward. And this type of a program can be beneficial to every teacher in every classroom with your students. It is, the ultimate of really, truly best practice.
All right. Thank you. For more information, be sure and check out our website, IUS School of Education. This has been a podcast on the High Ability Gifted and Talented Graduate Licensing Program. We've had Natalie Schmidt and Abby Coffman, along with Dr. Albrecht, the director of the program, I need to say, and also the one who came up with this amazing, amazing program. So thank you all for being here. And again, let us know if you have any questions.